Good day everyone. Today we will discuss an in-depth overview of Colombia, one of the most important emerging economies in Latin America. This presentation covers Colombia's geographical location, demographic profile, historical development, political system, major industries, and trade profile. Understanding these aspects helps explain why Colombia plays a strategic role in South America and why it continues to attract international business, tourism, and investment opportunities. Now, let's talk about location and geography. Colombia is strategically located in the northwestern region of South America. It is the only country in South America that has coastlines along both the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. This geographical advantage strengthens its position in international trade because goods can easily move across major global shipping routes. The country shares borders with Venezuela, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Panama, making it highly connected to neighboring economies. Colombia covers approximately 1.14 million square kilometers, making it one of the largest countries in Latin America. Its geography is highly diverse. The Andes Mountains pass through the country while the Amazon rainforest covers large southern areas. Colombia also contains fertile valleys, grasslands, rivers, and coastal beaches. Because of this diversity, the country possesses abundant natural resources that support industries such as agriculture, mining, tourism, and energy production. Now, let's move on to its demographic profile. Colombia has a population of about 52 million people, making it one of the most populated countries in Latin America. Spanish is the official language and Roman Catholicism is the dominant religion. Major cities such as Bogota, Medellin, Cali, and Barranquilla serve as centers of business and industry. Colombia also has a young population and expanding middle class, which support economic growth and investment opportunities. Colombia's brief historical background. Before Spanish colonization, Colombia was home to many indigenous groups. Spain colonized the country in the 16th century, and Colombia gained independence in 1819 under the leadership of Simon Bolivar. Although the country experienced political conflict and security challenges in the past, reforms and peace efforts helped improve its stability. Today, Colombia is considered one of the growing economies in Latin America. Colombia has a democratic presidential system where the president serves as both head of state and government. The government is divided into executive, legislative, and judicial branches to maintain checks and balances. The Constitution protects democratic rights and regular elections. Government reforms and economic policies have also improved investor confidence and business conditions. Colombia's economy is supported by industries such as oil, gas, mining, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and digital services. The country is globally known for high-quality coffee exports. Other important products include bananas, flowers, sugar, and palm oil. Tourism and outsourcing industries are also growing due to better infrastructure and skilled workers. Now let's move on about its trade profile. Colombia trades actively with countries such as the United States, China, Brazil, and members of the European Union. Its main exports include petroleum, coal, coffee, gold, and agricultural products, while imports include machinery, chemicals, and manufactured goods. Through trade agreements and improved infrastructure, Colombia continues to strengthen its role in global trade and investment.
Good day, everyone. Today I'll be discussing Colombia's political environment and how it affects foreign business. This analysis covers the political system, governance quality, and key risks leading up to the 2026 elections. Colombia is a strategic market in Latin America, with 52.2 million people, rich natural resources, and a skilled workforce. that makes it attractive to investors. But despite its strong democratic institution, the country faces rising uncertainty in public policy, corruption, and electoral risk. The upcoming May 31, 2026 presidential election is a major factor. The next is political system overview. Colombia uses a unitary presidential system with three branches, which is executive, legislative, and judicial. The 1991 Constitution decentralized power to 32 departments and the capital district. However, the central government still controls national policies on trade, foreign investment, and security. So while regions have autonomy, big decisions still come from the center. Next is type of government and leadership. Colombia is a presidential system. The president is both head of state and government, elected for a single 4-year term. Right now, President Gustavo Petro is in power. Is the first leftist president elected in 2022. But he can't run again in 2026. His challenge is that he does not have a majority in Congress, so many of his reforms get blocked. Next is level of democracy. According to the Economist Intelligence Unit, Colombia is a flawed democracy. It scores well in political freedoms, local democracy, and judicial independence, but it performs poorly in economic equality. This means politically it's open, but economic inequality is still a major social issue. And now let's proceed to key political actors. Power is split between the executive, legislative, and judiciary. Petro leads the executive but lacks congressional support. The Congress has 296 members total. The judiciary has 4 high courts that are independent on paper, but corruption and delays are problems. Oversight bodies like the Attorney General and Ombudsman exist to check the president's power. Quality of governance corruption. Corruption is a major issue in Colombia. In 2025, it scored only 37 out of 100 on the Corruption Perceptions Index, ranking 99th out of 182 countries. The World Justice Project also ranks its law in a rule of law. Main causes are drug trafficking, past civil conflict, and weak oversight. The government passed Law 2195 in 2022 to fight this, but enforcement is still weak. Next po is rule of law scores. This Colombia's rule of law performance, it ranks 82nd in constraints on government power, but much worse in order and security at 134th out of 143 countries. So main problems are consistent law enforcement, slow courts, and political loopholes that allow people to avoid accountability. Okay, the next is government effectiveness. State capacity in Colombia is limited. Issues include corruption, poor infrastructure, ongoing conflict, and fiscal problems. In 2023, the average municipality scored only 55.54 out of 100. The country also suspended its fiscal rule until 2027. The 2025 deficit is projected at 7.1% of GDP. This shows the government has limited financial flexibility. The next one is World Bank Governance Indicators 2024. This table from the World Bank summarizes Colombia's governance. The biggest red flags are political stability at 2.9%, and control of corruption at 12.3%. That means it performs better than only 3% of countries in stability. On the positive side, regulatory quality and voice and accountability are above 55%. So it sneaks good on regulation and participation, weak on stability and corruptions. Next is political risk for business stability. Political risk is high in 2026 due to presidential election. Risks include electoral polarization, political violence, social unrest, and tensions with the US and Venezuela. In 2024 alone, 138 social leaders were killed and over 121,000 people were displaced. This creates an unstoppable environment for business operations. Policy, unpredictability, and legal risk. Investors worry about unpredictable policy changes. Petros administration push for nationalization of health, electricity, and pensions. In December 2025, he issued an emergency decree, giving himself extraordinary powers for 30 days. Legally, Colombia has strong laws under the 1991 Constitution, but investment protection were reduced in January 2025. The global rule of law has also been declining for 7 years straight. And the last one is impact for foreign investors. The risks are already affecting investment. FDI dropped 15.2% from 2023 to 2024, and it's projected to drop another 16.1% in 2025. Mining investment fell 60% due to policy uncertainty, which downgraded Colombia to BB with a negative outlook. On the upside, there are no limits on repatriating profits, and Colombia has 17 FTAs giving access to 1.5 billion consumers.
Ngayon, i-discuss naman po natin ang legal environment.
Dito sa legal system overview, ang Colombia ay gumagamit ng sistemang civil law. Ibig sabihin ang lahat ng batas ay nakabase sa mga nakasulat na alituntunin at kodigo at hindi sa mga nakaraang desisyon ng hukuman. Ang sistemang ito ay impluwensyado ng mga tradisyon mula sa Espanya at Europa. Ang pinakamataas na batas ng bansa ay sa Ligang Batas ng 1991 na sumasaklaw sa lahat ng usapin tulad ng negosyo, paggawa at krimen. Ang sistema ay hukuman ay binubuo ng iba't ibang antas tulad ng Korte Suprema at Korte Konstitusyonal at sila ay malaya sa paggawa ng desisyon. Gayunpaman, kilala ang sistema sa pagiging mabagal at minsan ay hindi maayos ang serbisyo. Dahil dito patuloy na gumagawa ng mga pagbabago at reforma ang gobyerno upang gawing mas malinaw at maaasahan ang proseso ng batas. Dumako naman tayo sa impact on international businesses. Dito naman po para sa mga dayuhang kumpanya, maganda ang sistemang ito dahil malinaw at organisado ang mga nakasulat na patakaran. Ngunit ito rin ay napakahigpit at formal kumpara sa ibang sistema ng batas. Ang mga kasunduan o kontrata ay magiging balido lamang at ipapatupad kung ito ay detalyado, kumpleto at sumusunod ng tama sa mga batas ng Colombia. Hindi tulad sa ibang sistema na may kaunting kalayaan, dito ay kailangang sundin ng eksakto kung ano ang nakasaad sa batas. Dahil sa pagiging mahigpit nito, mariing pinapayuhan ang mga dayuhang negosyante na kumuha ng eksperto sa batas at siguraduhin sumusunod ang bawat dokumento sa mga lokal na kinakailangan bago magsimula ng operasyon. Naman po sa business legal environment evaluation, dito pinapadali at pinapabilis na ng Colombia ang proseso ng pagnenegosyo upang hikayatin ang mga dayuhang mamumuhunan. Simple lamang ang mga pangunahing kinakailangan. Kailangan irehistro ang kumpanya sa Chamber of Commerce at kumuha ng numero para sa buwis mula sa diyan. Ang esensya para sa buwis at aduana. Pinapayagan ang mga dayuhan na magkaroon ng 100% na pagmamay-ari sa kanilang negosyo sa halos lahat ng industriya tulad ng pagmamanufaktura, agrikultura at serbisyo. Gayunpaman, may mga limitasyon at paghihigpit sa pagmamay-ari pagdating sa mga sensitibong larangan tulad ng depensa ng bansa, seguridad at ilang serbisyo publiko. Dito naman po sa taxation and labor laws, dito ang mga negosyo ay kailangan magbayad ng iba't ibang uri ng buwis, kabilang ang buwis sa kita, buwis sa benta, or VAT, at mga buwis para sa lokal na pamahalaan. Ang ilang industriya tulad ng pagmimina o pananalapi ay may karagdagang espesyal na buwis. Mahigpit na ipinapatupad ang pag-iingat ng tamang talaan at pagbabayad sa tamang oras. Ang pagkakamali o pagkaantala ay may katapat na mabibigat na parusa. Dito ang mga batas na ito ay napakahigpit na nagpoprotekta sa mga manggagawa. Saklaw nito ang minimum na pasahod, oras ng trabaho, bayad sa dagdag na trabaho at iba pang benepisyo. Obligado ang mga may-ari ng negosyo na mag-ambag para sa sigurong pangkulusugan at pondo para sa pagre-retiro ng kanilang mga empleyado. Mahalagang tandaan, ang pagtatanggal ng empleyado ng walang sapat na at legal na dahilan ay napakamahal dahil kailangan magbayad ng malaking danyos at bayad pinsala ayon sa batas. Dito naman sa intellectual property protection, dito ang mga pangalan ng tatak, inbensyon at mga likhang sining ay protektado ng batas at pinamamahalaan ng asensya ng gobyerno na tinatawag na SIC. Ang Colombia ay kasapi ng mga kasunduang pandaigdig, kaya kinikilala rin dito ang mga karapatan ng mga dayuhang kumpanya. Gayunpaman, bagamat umiiral ang mga batas sa papel, mahirap itong ipatupad sa totoong buhay. Ang mga peke at huwad na produkto ay karaniwan pa rin sa ilang pamilihan at mabagal at mahirap ang proseso upang mapigilan ang mga ito sa pamamagitan ng batas.
Next naman po is enforcement and protection. Dito naman po is ginagarantiyahan ng saligang batas na igagalang at ipapatupad ang mga kasunduan at karapatang pagmay-ari ng ari-arian. Mas ligtas din ang mga mamumuhunan dahil sa mga kasunduang pang-internasyonal at mga kasunduan sa malayang kalakalan na nilagtaan ng bansa na nagpapababa sa mga panganib. Sa kabila nito, may mga hamon pa rin tulad ng mabagal na proseso ng hukuman, komplikadong mga patakaran ng gobyerno at pagkakaiba-iba ng pagpapatupad sa iba't ibang rehiyon. Dahil dito, lubos na inirekomenda na makipagtulungan sa mga lokal na abogado o eksperto upang masigurong sumusunod ang lahat sa mga patakaran at regulasyon.
Ngayon, dumako naman po tayo sa dispute resolution. Ang una po is litigation. Ito ang formal na proseso ng paglilitis sa hukuman ayon sa Code of Civil Procedure. Bagamat malaya at patas ang mga hukuman, kilala ang mga ito sa pagiging napakabagal at maaaring tumagal ng maraming taon bago mabigyan ng desisyon ang isang kaso. Upang matugunan ito, nagtatag ng mga espesyal na hukumang komersyo upang mapabilis ang paglutas ng mga usaping pangnegosyo. Kapag napagdesisyonan na ang kaso, ito ay final at kailangan sundin ng lahat. Dito naman po sa number 2 is yung arbitration. Dito naman po ay ito ang pinaka-inirekomendang paraan para sa mga kasunduang pang-internasyonal. Ito ay kinokontrol ng Batas 52/1990 at Batas na 1563/2012. Mas mabilis ito kumpara sa paghahabla sa hukuman pribado, walang kinikilingan at mga desisyon ay kinikilala at maipatutupad kahit saan man sa mundo dahil sa mga pakinabang na ito. Karamihan sa mga kasunduang pang-negosyo ay naglalagay na ng provision para sa mga arbitration bilang paraan ng paglutas ng hindi pagkakaunawaan. Dito naman po, yung number 3 po is conciliation and mediation. Dito naman po, ang prosesong ito ay namamahala sa ilalim ng Batas 640/2001. Ito ay maaaring kusang loob o sa ibang pagkakataon ay kinakailangan na kung saan tumutulong ang isang walang kinikilingan na tagapamagitan upang magkasundo ang magkabilang panig bago pa man umabot sa hukuman. Malaki ang matitipid dito sa gastos at oras at napapanatili pa ang maayos na ugnayan ng mga negosyo. Sa ilang uri ng kaso, ito ay kailangan subukan muna bago payagan magsampa ng kaso sa korte.
So today I will discuss economic environment. First is the macroeconomic overview. GDP, size of economy. Colombia is considered one of the largest economies in Latin America and is classified as an upper middle income country. Its economy is supported by major industries such as services, manufacturing, mining, agriculture, and oil exports. In 2024, Colombia's GDP reached approximately 418.82 billion US dollars, showing the country's strong economic size and importance in the region. In terms of economic growth, Colombia experienced a slowdown after recovering strongly from the pandemic. GDP growth decreased from 7.3% in 2022 to 0.6% in 2023 due to high interest rates, weaker consumer demand, and global economic uncertainty. However, the economy showed signs of recovery in 2024 with a growth rate of 1.6%, supported by investments and exports. Colombia's GDP per capita reached around 7,919 US dollar in 2024, reflecting moderate income levels and a growing middle class. This has increased demand for products and services such as retail, healthcare, telecommunications, and digital commerce. Major cities like Bogota, Medellin, Cali, and Barranquilla serve as the country's main economic and commercial centers. Para naman sa market size and consumer power. For the population size, Colombia has a population of over 52 million people, making it one of the largest consumer market in South America. A large population means a bigger customer base for goods and services, especially in urban areas where most people live. Para naman sa middle class growth, the middle class in Colombia has expanded significantly over the past decades. This growth increases purchasing power, allowing more people to afford consumer goods, services, and lifestyle products. It also supports steady demand for both local and international businesses. Para naman sa income distribution, although Colombia has a growing economy, income inequality remains relatively high. This means wealth is not evenly distributed across the population. However, consumer spending is still supported by remittances, improved financial access, and digital banking services. Para naman sa consumer trends, Colombia is experiencing strong digital and consumption shifts. Increased smartphone and internet usage has driven the growth of e-commerce, online shopping, and fintech services. Consumers are becoming more digital-oriented, preferring convenient and online-based transactions. which creates opportunities for technology-driven businesses. Para naman sa currency and exchange rate risk, para sa currency stability, the Colombian peso or COP is moderately stable, supported by a flexible exchange rate system and a strong central bank. However, its stability is still affected by external factors such as global economic conditions and commodity price changes. Para naman sa exchange rate trends, the COP frequently fluctuates against the US dollar. These movements are mainly influenced by global oil prices, investor confidence, and international economic conditions, which can lead to periods of depreciation or recovery. Para naman sa currency volatility, the peso shows moderate to high volatility due to its dependence on commodity exports, especially oil. Political uncertainty in global market shifts also contribute to unpredictable exchange rate movements, affecting foreign investors and import costs. Para naman sa inflation, inflation in Colombia peaked at around 11.7% in 2023 following global economic disruptions. It has since been gradually declining due to tight monetary policies by the central bank, but it still affects purchasing power and important prices. Para naman sa trade environment, Colombia maintains an open and globally connected trade environment. It actively participates in international trade system and continues to promote foreign investments and export-oriented growth through trade agreements and economic reforms. International trade. Colombia is part of major global economic organizations, including the World Trade Organization and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It also belongs to the Pacific Alliance and maintains multiple free trade agreements with countries such as the United States, European Union, Canada, Mexico, and South Korea, strengthening its global market access. Para naman sa major exports, Colombia's exports are mainly based on natural resources and agriculture. Key exports products include crude oil, coal, coffee, gold, flowers, manufactured goods, which contribute significantly to its foreign exchange earning. Para naman sa major imports products, the country imports mainly industrial and high-value goods such as machinery, transport equipment, chemicals, electronics, and other industrial products to support its domestic production and infrastructure development. Para sa trade performance, in 2023, Colombia recorded exports of over 50 billion US dollars, while imports reached approximately 71 billion US dollars, resulting in a trade deficit. Despite this, trade remains a key driver of economic activity. Para sa trade policy and investment climate, uh, Colombia promotes trade liberaliz- realizations and foreign investment through policies such as free trade zones. These zones provide tax incentives, custom benefits, and simplified procedures, encouraging companies in manufacturing, logistics, technology, and industrial sectors to operate in the country. Para naman sa key insights, overall, Colombia's open trade policies help attract foreign investors and support industrial growth despite ongoing trade deficits. Para naman sa infrastructure and logistics, um, Colombia has made continuous efforts to strengthen its national infrastructure to support economic growth, improving competitiveness and enhance connectivity both domestically and internationally. The country's infrastructure development focuses on transportation system, digital connectivity, and energy sustainability. Para naman sa transportation and logistic infrastructure, Colombia has invested significantly in improving its transportation and logistics system to support trade and regional integration. The government has prioritized infrastructure modernization to reduce transportation costs and improve effici- efficiency in moving goods and services across the country. These developments are essential for strengthening Colombia's position in global markets. Para naman sa road network development, 4G projects, the 4G road infrastructure program is one of Colombia's largest transportation initiatives. It involves the constructions and improvement of highways that connect major cities, ports, and industrial areas. These projects aim to reduce travel time, improve road safety, and enhance logistics efficiency for businesses and exporters. Para naman sa airports and rail transport, Colombia has also expanded and modernized its airport facilities to support increased passenger and cargo traffic. Airports play a key role in connecting Colombia to international markets. In addition, although rail infrastructure is less developed and compared to roads, efforts are being made to improve railway system to support freight transportations and reduce dependence on road networks. Para naman sa ports and international trade access, Colombia's strategic ports are crucial for international trade activities. Major ports such as Cartagena and Barranquilla and Buenaventura provide access to both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This dual access strengthens Colombia's trade relationships with North America, Europe, and Asia, making it a key logistics hub in the region. Para naman sa digital infrastructure, Colombia is experiencing rapid growth in digital infrastructure, particularly in internet access and digital financial systems. The expansion of broadband and wireless connectivity has supported the rise of fintech services and digital payments. Urban areas benefit from strong telecommunications networks that enable e-commerce and efficient business operations. However, rural regions still face limited access to reliable internet services, creating a digital divide. Para naman sa energy infrastructure, Colombia's energy infrastructure is generally stable, with a strong reliance on hydroelectric power as its main energy source. This provides a relatively sustainable and consistent energy supply. In recent years, the government has also promoted investments in renewable energy sources such as solars and wind power to diversify energy production and support environmental sustainability. Para sa overall infrastructure assessments, Colombia has made significant progress in strengthening its infrastructure systems, improvements in transportation, digital connectivity, and renewable energy have enhanced economic competitiveness. However, challenges remain, particularly in reducing the rural urban infrastructure gap and continuing long-term investments in logistics and energy diversification. Para naman sa labor market overview, workforce compositions, Colombia has a young and relatively large labor force, which provides a continuous supply of workers for different industries. This demographic advantage supports long-term economic productivity and competitiveness. Sa unemployment trend, the unemployment rate decreased from 13.7% in 2021 to 10.2% in 2023, showing economic recovery after the pandemic. This improvement is linked to the reopening and expansion of key sectors. Sa uh, job creation drivers, employment growth was mainly driven by the expansion of retail, tourism, finance, IT, and constructions industries, which are major contributors to Colombia's post-pandemic recovery. Para sa labor cost and skills development, labor cost advantage. Labor costs in Colombia are lower compared to developed countries, making it attractive for foreign companies seeking cost-efficient operation. Para naman sa investment at attraction sectors, this cost advantage supports industries such as manufacturing, outsourcing, business process outsourcing, and shared services, which rely heavily on affordable labor. Para sa workforce skills developments, the labor force is becoming increasingly skilled, especially in urban areas where universities produce graduates in engineering, business, IT, and healthcare fields. Para naman sa labor market challenges, labor informality issue, a significant portion of employment in Colombia is informal, meaning workers are not officially registered as protected under formal labor system. Para naman sa economic impact sa financial system and investment climate, labor infor hindi. Para naman sa economic impact, labor informality reduces productivity, limits access to training and benefits, and creates inconsistencies in skill levels across the workforce. Para sa structural concern, this remains a long-term challenge that affects economic efficiency and workforce development. Para naman sa financial system and investment climate, ah, para sa financial system overview, banking stability, Colombia has a relatively stable financial system supported by strong banking regulation and supervision. Para sa major financial, key banks include Bancolombia, Banco de Bogota, and the Vivienda, which provide services such as business loans, consumer credit, and investment products. Para sa financial function, These institutions support both individuals and businesses, ensuring liquidity and capital flow within the economy. Mm, para sa investment climate, role of FDI, foreign direct investment or FDI plays a crucial role in Colombia's economic development, contributing to job creation and industrial expansion. Para sa key investment sectors, major sectors attracting investment include mining, oil and gas, renewable energy, and manufacturing, infrastructure, and technology. Para sa investment in advantage, Colombia is attractive due to its strategic geographic location, trade agreements with global partners, growing domestic market, and favorable investment policies. Sa investment challenges, sa political risk, political uncertainty including changes in leaderships and policies creates unpredictability for investors. Sa regulatory concerns, frequent reforms in taxations, labor laws, and environmental policies can affect business stability. Security and corruption risks, some regions still experience security issues and corruption, which may discourage foreign investment. Or sa economic risk, inflation and currency risk. Rising inflation and currency depreciation reduce purchasing power and create instability in financial planning. Para sa government debt, high levels of public debt ay may limit government government spending and economic flexibility. Or sa commodity dependence, Colombia relies heavily on oil exports. Therefore, global oil price fluctuations significantly affect economic performance. Para naman sa social and environmental risks, sa political and social instability, social unrest and political instability contribute to uncertainty for both domestic and foreign investors. Para sa policy uncertainty, changes in tax, labor, and environmental regulation may affect long-term business planning. Sa climate risk, natural hazards such as flooding and drought can disrupt agriculture, infrastructure, and energy production. Sa ating conclusion, economic strengths, Colombia has a diverse and growing economy supported by a young workforce, expanding middle class, and strong trade connections. Investment potential, the country remains attractive for investors due to its strategic location and sector opportunities. Para sa key challenges, despite its strength, Colombia still faces challenges such as labor informality, political risk, and environmental vulnerabilities.
Pumunta naman po tayo sa cultural environment of Colombia. Cultural environment and dimensions. So may tanong po dito, what are some of the values or norms that affect behavior in Colombia? So ang kultura po ng Colombia ay nakatuon sa pamilya at relasyon, kung saan mahalaga ang close family ties, respeto sa nakakatanda at social hierarchy. Kilala ang mga Colombians bilang warm, hospitable at mahilig makipag-ugnayan na nagpapakita ng kanilang collectivist na katangian na pinapahalagahan ang grupo, loyalty at kooperasyon kaysa sa personal na tagumpay. Sa negosyo, mas matagal ang pagtitiwala at mas inuuna ang pagbuo ng magandang relasyon bago magnegosyo at mas pinipili nila ang organisadong sistema at malinaw na patakaran upang maiwasan ang panganib at hindi inaasahang problema. Next po is cultural values and norms in Colombia. First po, strong family loyalty and orientation. Napakahalaga daw po ng pamilya sa Colombia. Ang pamilya daw po ang pangunahing source ng emotional support, guidance at protection ng isang tao. Maraming Colombians ang malapit sa kanilang family members at madalas silang nagtutulungan sa personal at financial matters. Kapag may importanteng decisions, madalas kinokonsidera muna nila ang opinyon ng pamilya bago gumawa ng final choice. Dahil dito, mataas ang value nila sa loyalty, trust, and responsibility sa family relationships. Next po is respect for authority and social class. Malaki daw po ang respeto ng mga Colombians sa elders, authority figures, managers, teachers at professionals. Tinatanggap nila ang hierarchy sa society kaya normal para sa kanila na may mga taong may mataas na authority at power kaysa sa iba. Sa workplace, ang manager o executives ang kadalasang gumagawa ng final decisions. Hindi rin pangkaraniwan ang pag-question sa authority figures sa harap ng ibang tao dahil maaari itong makita bilang disrespectful. Mahalaga rin po sa kanila ang social status, dignity at magandang reputasyon sa society. Next po is trust through interpersonal relationship. Napakahalaga daw po ng trust sa Colombian culture. Hindi daw po agad sila nagtitiwala sa mga bagong kakilala, kaya mahalagang magkaroon muna ng magandang personal relationship bago magkaroon ng successful business partnership. Mas comfortable daw po kasi silang makipagtrabaho sa mga taong kilala at pinagkakatiwalaan nila. Kaya sa business meetings, madalas na may casual conversations o small talk muna bago pag-usapan ang actual business matters. Kapag nakabuo ka ng magandang relationship sa isang Colombian, mas magiging loyal at cooperative sila sa iyo. Next po is hospitality and kindness toward others. Kilala po ang mga Colombians bilang warm, welcoming at hospitable people. Mahilig silang magpakita ng kindness at concern sa ibang tao, lalo na sa guests at visitors. Mahilig din silang mag-create ng friendly at comfortable atmosphere sa social gatherings at business meetings. Ang pagiging approachable at cheerful nila ay malaking bahagi ng kanilang culture. Kaya kapag nakikipag-interact sa Colombians, mahalagang maging polite at friendly rin bilang respeto sa kanilang values at traditions. Next po is preference for peace and not creating open conflict. Mas gusto daw po kasi ng mga Colombians ang peaceful at harmonious relationships kaysa direct confrontation o public disagreements. Iniiwasan nila ang mga pagiging sobrang direct sa criticism upang hindi makasakit ng damdamin o makasira ng relationships. Kadalasan, gumagamit sila ng indirect communication at polite words para mapanatili ang harmony sa conversations. Mahalaga para sa kanila ang emotional balance at magandang pakikitungo sa ibang tao. Next po, influence from religion, particularly from Roman Catholic traditions. Malaki daw po ang influence ng religion, lalo na ng Roman Catholicism sa Colombian culture. Maraming traditions, celebrations, at family practices nila ang konektado sa kanilang religious beliefs. Nakakaapekto rin ang religion sa kanilang moral values, pananaw sa pamilya at social behavior. Maraming Colombians ang active sa church activities at religious celebration tulad ng Christmas at Holy Week. And lastly, importance of social class and reputation. Mahalaga sa Colombian society ang social class, dignity at reputation. Pinapahalagahan nila ang mga magandang image at respeto mula sa ibang tao. Sa workplace at business environment, malaking factor ang credibility at professionalism sa pagbuo ng trust at successful relationships. Kaya mahalaga para sa kanila ang proper behavior, magandang manners at respectful communication. Next po, hosted cultural dimensions in Colombia.
First po, power distance. High po siya. Tinatanggap po kasi ng mga Colombians na may hierarchy at unequal distribution of power sa society at workplace. Inaasahan nila na ang managers at leaders ang magbibigay ng instructions at final decisions. Hindi rin karaniwan ang openly questioning authority figures dahil mahalaga ang respeto sa kanila. Sa organizations, mas formal ang relationship ng boss at employees. Mahalaga rin ang mga paggamit ng respectful language at formal titles sa workplace. Kadalasan, ang senior managers at executive ang may pinakamalaking influence sa decision-making process. Number 2, individualism versus collectivism. Dito po, collectivist sila. So, collectivist society daw po kasi ang Colombia kaya mas mahalaga ang pamilya, teamwork, at group harmony kaysa personal achievements lamang. Pinapahalagahan po nila ang loyalty at kooperasyon kaya mahalaga ang magandang relationships sa workplace at business partnerships. Malaki rin ang influence ng family at close friends sa kanilang decisions. Sa workplace, mas gusto nila ang teamwork at supportive environment kaysa sobrang competition. Next po, masculinity versus femininity. Moderate po ito. So, balance po ang Colombian culture pagdating sa achievement at relationships. Mahalaga sa kanila ang success at magandang trabaho, pero pinapahalagahan din nila ang family life, friendships, at social relationships. Hindi lamang competition ang mahalaga sa kanila, kundi pati magandang samahan sa workplace at society. Pinapahalagahan din nila ang respect, kooperasyon, at work-life balance kaya mahalaga ang magandang relationship sa co-workers at business partnerships. Next po, uncertainty avoidance. High po ito. Bakit? Mas gusto po kasi ng Colombians ang organized at predictable situations. Comfortable sila kapag may malinaw na rules, procedures, at systems. Ayaw nila sa sobrang risky decision kaya maingat sila sa paggawa ng business plans at pagbabago ng organizations. Mas gusto rin po nila ang proper planning at malinaw na instructions upang maiwasan ang misunderstandings at problems sa workplace at business operations. Next, long-term versus short-term orientation. Moderate to lower po siya. Mas focus daw po kasi ang Colombians sa traditions, present relationships, at current experiences kaysa long-term future planning. Mas mahalaga para sa kanila ang maintaining harmony at enjoying present social connections kaysa sobrang focus sa future goals. Pinapahalagahan din nila ang family traditions, celebrations, at social activities kasama ang friends at relatives. Next, indulgence. High po siya, mataas. Mahilig daw po kasi ang Colombians sa enjoyment, celebrations, leisure activities, at spending time with family and friends. Kilala ang Colombia sa kanilang colorful festivals, music, dancing, at social gatherings, kaya mahalaga sa kanila ang work-life, balance, at happiness. Mahilig din silang mag-enjoy sa social events at bonding activities bilang bahagi ng kanilang culture at lifestyle. Next po, Trumpinar's cultural dimensions. Particularism. Dito po, mas mahalaga sa Colombians ang personal relationship kaysa strict rules at formal policies. Minsan, mas binibigyan nila ng importance ang taong may magandang relationship sa kanila kaysa sa official rules lamang. Dahil dito, mahalaga ang trust, loyalty at connection bago magkaroon ng successful business partnership. Next po, communitarianism.
Pinapahalagahan po nila ang teamwork, cooperation at loyalty sa family at groups. Mahalaga ang harmony at pagtutulungan sa workplace environment. Mas gusto nila ang supportive at friendly relationship sa trabaho kaysa sobrang individual competition at conflict. Next is emotions. Expressive ang mga Colombians pagdating sa emotions. Open silang nagpapakita ng feelings gamit ang facial expression, gestures, tones of voice, at body language. Karaniwan silang warm, friendly, at lively kapag nakikipag-usap sa ibang tao kaya madali silang makabuo ng personal connections. Next, ascription. Sa Colombia, ang status ng isang tao ay maaaring makabase sa age, education, social class, at position, kaya mas mataas ang respeto nila sa elders, professionals, at authority figures. Mahalaga rin ang titles, achievements, at professional reputation sa workplace at society. Next, synchronicity. Flexible ang pananaw nila sa oras at schedules, maaaring hindi eksaktong nagsisimula ang meeting sa oras dahil mas importante para sa kanila ang personal relationships kaysa sobrang strict na time management. Madalas din silang naglalaan muna ng oras para sa small talk at relationship building bago business discussion. Next, Colombian culture for businesses. Language and communication. Spanish ang pangunahing language sa Colombia, kaya karamihan ng business communication ay gumagamit nito. May ilang professionals na marunong mag-English pero mas common pa rin sa kanila ang Spanish. Ang communication nila ay polite, warm at relationship-oriented. Gumagamit din sila ng indirect communication upang maiwasan ang confrontation at misunderstanding sa workplace. Next, decision-making. Sa Colombia, hierarchical ang decision-making process. Kadalasan ang final decisions ay ginagawa ng senior managers o executives. Mahalaga rin ang trust at magandang relationship bago magkaroon ng successful business agreements, kaya minsan mas matagal ang negotiations. Next, business etiquette. Greetings. Karaniwan, greeting sa business setting ang handshake bilang sign of professionalism at respect. Kapag mas close na ang business associates, maaari silang maging mas warm at friendly sa greetings. Mahalaga rin ang paggamit ng formal titles tulad ng senior o senyora bilang pagpapakita ng respeto. Next, meetings. Madalas na may small talk muna bago simulan ang business discussions dahil mahalaga sa kanila ang relationship buildings. Pinapahalagahan nila ang punctuality pero minsan flexible sila pagdating sa exact meeting time at schedules. Behavior. Inaasahan ang professional attire at respectful behavior sa workplace. Mahalaga rin ang polite communication, professionalism, at pag-iwas sa public criticisms upang mapanatili ang magandang relationships sa coworkers at clients. Next, cultural risk. Cultural considerations. Maaring magkaroon ng misunderstanding sa pagitan ng Filipino at Colombian businesses dahil sa differences sa language, communication style, time orientation, at management practices. Mas relationship-oriented ang Colombians kaya mas matagal minsan ang negotiations at decision-making process. Kailangan ding maging patient, respectful, flexible at understanding ang mga Filipino companies upang makabuo ng trust at successful long-term business partnerships.
Good day everyone! Today I will be presenting my topic about C1. So the first one is the overall country attractiveness of Colombia. From a strategic perspective, ang Colombia is a strong candidate for Philippine companies looking to globalize beyond Asia. What makes Colombia interesting is yung imbalance between demand and infrastructure. Mataas yung consumer demand pero kulang pa yung long-term capital investment. So may clear gap na pwedeng pasukan ng foreign firms. To add to that, this kind of environment usually favors first movers. Companies that enter early can establish brand recognition, secure partnerships, and capture market share before competition intensifies. Also, Colombia's shift away from oil and mining signals structural transformation. So instead of entering a declining sector, companies are entering during a diversification phase, which is a more sustainable growth path. In short, this is not just a market entry, it's a market positioning for the future. So the next one is FD attractiveness rating. So even if may strong potential, we rated it as a medium because of risk-adjusted analysis. While policies are investor friendly, the key issue is implementation risk. There's often a gap between regulatory design and actual execution. Another layer to consider is macroeconomic pressure, like budget deficits, which may lead to policy adjustments in the future, such as tax changes or reduced incentives. Also, compared to regional competitors like Mexico or Brazil, Colombia is not yet the top destination, so it doesn't naturally attract the highest volume of FDI. However, this also creates an advantage, less saturation, and more room for strategic positioning. So instead of being the safest choice, Colombia becomes a calculated opportunity ideal for firms that can manage risk effectively. The third one is market potential and value. When evaluating market potential, we look beyond size. We analyze growth, quality, and sustainability. Yung 50 million population is significant, but what really matters is the rising middle class and urbanization trends. This drive demand for higher value goods like tech, financial services, and modern retail. Additionally, the workforce is not only young, but increasingly skilled, especially in areas like IT and digital services. This supports industries that rely on human capital. The GDP growth of around 2.5% to 2.7% may seem moderate, but it reflects stability rather than volatility, which is more attractive for long-term investors. And strategically, Colombia's 17 trade agreements transform it into a gateway economy. Companies can use it as a base for regional export effectively, multiplying market reach beyond domestic demand. The fourth one, final overall rating. So overall, ang Colombia falls under opportunity with calculated risk. Yung medium, rating natin doesn't mean average lang siya. It actually means balance yung strengths and challenges. Important din yung timing kasing nasa transition phase pa. Yung market nila, hindi pa siya fully developed. So kung papasok ka ngayon, may chance ka pa mag-establish ng strong position bago maging saturated yung market. Pero at the same time, hindi siya automatic success. Kailangan mo ng solid planning, especially sa compliance, partnerships, and understanding local conditions. Also, important yung adaptability kasi pabago-bago yung policies and business environment. So kung flexible yung company, mas mataas yung chance of success. So in short, Colombia is not just about entering. It's about entering smart and at the right time. So next naman, trade and economic environment. In terms of trade environment, one of Colombia's biggest strengths is yung global connection niya. Yung access to 1.5 billion consumers, hindi lang siya number, Ibig sabihin, pwede mong gamitin yung Colombia's base to export to other countries like US or Europe. So parang hindi lang local market ang target mo, kundi international agad. Pero may risk din like yung pagbaba ng credit ratings, ibig sabihin magiging cautious yung investors globally. Yung growing government deficit naman means possible changes in policies in the future like taxes or spending cut. So for businesses, ang approach dito is take advantage of trade opportunities but at the same time, be ready for economic changes. Next naman is economic and policy challenges. So dito naman sa economic challenges, malaking factor yung high interest rates. Yes, nakakatulong siya to control inflation. Pero downside is mahal mangutang. So, nahihirapan mag-expand yung businesses. This can also affect foreign companies kasi mas mahal din ang financing. Yung policy changes, especially to labor, can also create uncertainty kasi companies need to adjust lagi sa bagong rules. Then, yung decentralization, meaning hindi pare-pareho yung business environment per region. So, hindi pwede na one strategy lang for the whole country. Plus, may security risk pa in some areas. So, kailangan careful sa pagpili ng location. So, overall, kailangan flexible and well-researched yung strategy mo before entering. The second to the last naman is business feasibility. For feasibility, medium siya because may opportunities pero may condition. Yung free trade zones, for example, sobrang attractive, 0% tax and no customs duties. Malaking cost, savings yon. Pero hindi siya automatic. You need to meet requirements like hiring targets and export levels. Another important concept is yung difference between de jure and de facto. De jure means maganda yung laws on paper, clear and supportive. Pero yung de facto or actual implementation, minsan may delays or inefficiencies. So kailangan maganda yung system in theory. Kailangan mo pa rin i-manage actively yung operations mo. So in short, feasible siya but kailangan hands-on ka and hindi lang umaasa sa system. Ang last naman is operational challenges. Lastly, sa operations, dito talaga lumalabas yung real challenges. Yung trade inefficiencies can cause delays sa shipping and customs, which can affect the delivery time and customer satisfaction. Yung distance between Philippines and Colombia is also a factor. Mas mahal logistic and mas matagal delivery. Language barrier is another issue since Spanish ang main language. Kailangan mo ng local support like legal advisors or bilingual staff. Then, yung business registration process is medyo complicated and time-consuming. So, hindi agad-agad makapag-start. So, ang pinaka-important strategy here is localization. Meaning, makipag-partner sa local firms, mag-hire ng local experts, and i-adapt yung business practices. So overall, success in Colombia is not just about entering. It's about how well you operate once you're inside the market.
Now, let's move on to SWOT analysis. First, let's discuss about the Philippine firm's capabilities or its strengths. Number 1, competitive labor costs. The Philippines has lower labor costs than many developed countries while still having skilled workers. This helps Philippine firms offer competitive prices and maintain profitability in Colombia. Number 2, English skills and BPO competence. The Philippines is a global leader in the BPO industry with strong English proficiency. Companies can provide digital services, customer support, and back office operations to Colombian businesses. Number 3, export experience in consumer goods. Philippine firms have strong experience exporting food and consumer products such as coconut products, bananas, tuna, and processed goods to international markets. Number 4, agile and entrepreneurial SMEs. Philippine SMEs are flexible and innovative. They can easily adjust products and strategies to meet Colombian consumer preferences. So let's move on about internal constraints in the Philippine economy, which is the weaknesses. First, limited brand recognition in Latin America. Philippine brands are not yet widely recognized in Latin America. Companies may need strong marketing and partnerships to build awareness in Colombia. Second is language barrier. Spanish is the main business language in Colombia, while Philippine firms mainly use English or Tagalog. Bilingual staff and translated materials may be needed. Third, higher shipping and logistics costs. The long distance between the Philippines and Colombia increases shipping time and transportation costs, affecting price competitiveness. And lastly, limited knowledge of Colombian regulations. Philippine exporters may not fully understand Colombian customs and tax rules, so legal support or local partners may be necessary.
Next naman po is opportunities, external factors in Colombia. Number 1 po is developed middle class consumer marketplace. Dito po ay lumalaki ang middle class population sa Colombia, lalo na sa mga urban areas o cities. Dahil dito, mas tumataas ang demand nila sa pagkain, healthcare, gadgets, education at iba't ibang services. Marami ng Colombians ang may mas mataas na purchasing power kaya mas malaki ang market para sa businesses. Yung business implication naman niya po is magandang opportunity ito para sa Philippine businesses dahil pwede silang magbenta ng consumer products, educational services, technology at iba pang serbisyo sa Colombian market. Number 2 naman po is establish free trade area and regional trade poles. Dito naman po ay may mga free trade agreements ang Colombia sa United States, European Union at member din sila ng Pacific Alliance. Dahil dito, mas madami ang trading nila sa ibang countries sa Latin America at global markets. Yung business implication nyo naman po, kapag nag-establish ng business ang Philippines companies sa Colombia, mas magiging madali rin para sa kanila na makapasok sa nearby markets tulad ng Peru, Chile at Mexico dahil connected ang mga bansang ito through trade agreements. Next naman po is ang number 3 is digital economy and growth of e-commerce. Ito naman po ay patuloy na lumalaki ang paggamit ng internet, smartphones, online shopping at digital payments sa Colombia. Dumadami rin ang gumagamit ng fintech at e-commerce platforms. Ang business implication niya naman po ay malaking opportunity ito para sa Philippine tech companies, PBO at e-commerce businesses dahil maaari silang mag-offer ng digital services, apps, online platforms at IT solutions sa Colombia. Number 4, public investment and infrastructure enhancement. Ito naman po ay nag-i-invest ang Colombian government sa paggawa ng pagpapaganda ng roads, airports, ports at transportation system para mas mapabilis ang negosyo at logistics sa bansa. Business implication nyo naman po, mas mapapadali ang transportation at distribution ng products kaya makakatulong ito sa pagbaba ng cost at mas mapabilis ang market access para sa businesses. Next naman po is yung threats, external risk in Colombia. Number 1 po is crime and security. Dito po, bagamat may improvements na sa security ng Colombia, mayroon pa ring organized crime at safety risks sa ilang lugar tulad ng muggings, theft at ibang criminal activities. Ang businesses implication niya naman po ay kailangan gumastos ng mas malaki ang Philippines companies para sa insurance security services at protection ng kanilang employees at operations. Next naman po is number 2 ay exchange rate variance. Ito naman po ay mabilis magbago ang value ng Colombian peso laban sa US dollar. Kapag bumaba o tumaas ang currency value, naapektuhan ang presyo ng imports, products at profit ng companies. Ang business implication naman po ay kailangang gumamit ng flexible pricing at financial strategies ang companies para maiwasan ang malaking losses dahil sa pagbabago ng exchange rates. Next naman po is number 3, ang complex tax and regulatory structure. Dito naman po is komplikado ang tax system sa Colombia dahil maraming requirements tulad ng VAT, corporate taxes, permits, registration at reports na kailangang sundin ng foreign companies. Ang business implication niya naman po ay maaaring maging mahal at mahirap ito lalo na para sa maliliit na Philippine businesses dahil tataas ang compliance at operational costs nila. Number 4 naman po is intense competition from global and local companies. Ito naman po marami ng established local companies at multinational corporations sa Colombia na matagal nang nag-compete sa industries tulad ng food, retail, technology at consumer goods. Ang business implication niya naman po, kailangan maging unique ng Philippines companies sa pamamagitan ng mas magandang presyo, quality, innovation o niche products para makasabay sa competition.
Ngayon naman, i-discuss ko yung strategic recommendations. Based sa evaluation namin ng political, economic, at cultural environment ng Colombia, nakita namin na hindi advisable yung biglaan or aggressive na expansion. Mas okay kung gradual approach muna, meaning dahan-dahan lang yung pagpasok sa market. Important rin yung partnership-based strategy kasi mas nakakatulong yung local partners para maintindihan yung market nila. And syempre, dapat mag-focus lang tayo sa industries kung saan malakas ang Pilipinas at may demand sa Colombia. So, ang pangalawa naman na i-discuss ko is yung recommended industries. So, may 4 kaming recommended industries. Una, yung ICT at BPO services. Malakas na talaga ang Pilipinas dito and mabilis din mag-grow ang digital economy ng Colombia. So, magandang opportunity ito. Pangalawa, processed food at consumer goods. Dahil lumalaki ang middle class nila, tumataas din ang demand sa pagkain at everyday products. Yung pangatlo, renewable energy. Nag-shift na ang Colombia from oil to sustainable energy. So may chance pumasok dito. Yung pang-apat naman is healthcare at pharmaceuticals. Habang nag-urbanize ang population nila, mas tumataas ang demand sa healthcare services at medicines. Dito na tayo sa pangatlo. Ito yung recommended market entry mode. Sa pagpasok naman sa market, ang best strategy ay joint venture or partnership with local distributors. Bakit? Una, may market knowledge na sila at alam na nila ang local regulations. Pangalawa, sa Colombia culture, important ang relationship building. So, mas madali kung may local partner ka. Pangatlo, nakakatulong ito para mabawasan ang risk financial, operational at legal. At pinaka-important, ito yung pinaka-practical at cost-effective, lalo na para sa SMEs. Ang next ko naman na i-discuss yung pang-apat, which is yung risk mitigation strategies. Siyempre, hindi mawawala ang risk, kaya kailangan prepared tayo. For political at regulatory risk, mag-hire ng local experts para siguraduhin compliant tayo. For economic at currency risk, gumamit ng flexible pricing. Pwede rin mag-transact in US dollars. At mag-diversify ng suppliers para hindi dependent sa isa lang. Pagdating naman sa security risk, important na maging maingat lalo na sa initial stage ng expansion. Una, mag-start sa major at safer cities tulad ng Bogota, Medellin at Cartagena. Kasi dito mas maayos ang infrastructure, mas visible ang law enforcement at mas business-friendly ang environment. Pangalawa, mag-partner with trusted local firms. Makakatulong sila para maiwasan ang unsafe. Ang next ko naman na i-discuss is yung cultural adaptation strategies. Pagdating naman sa cultural adaptation, sobrang important nito kasi malaki ang impact sa success ng business. Una, build strong relationships. Sa Colombia, hindi lang basta transaction ang business, important yung trust at personal connection. Kaya dapat maglaan ng time sa meetings, small talks at mag-maintain ng good relationships. Pangalawa, localize your business. Hindi sapat na English lang, dapat naka-Spanish ang inyong packaging, website at customer service. Mas comfortable kasi ang customer kapag sariling language ang gamit. Pangatlo, hire the right people. Mag-employ ng bilingual staff at local Colombian managers. Sila ang makakatulong para maiwasan ang miscommunication at mas maintindihan ang local market behavior. Pang-apat, understand business etiquette. Halimbawa, important ang pagiging polite, punctual at professional. Pero at the same time, mas relationship-oriented sila kaysa purely formal. Panglima, adapt marketing strategies. I-adjust ang branding at advertising para mag-shift sa Colombian culture, like paggamit ng local trends, values at preferences. At panghuli, respect cultural differences. Dapat open-minded at flexible ang company para mas madaling maka-adapt at makabuo ng long-term partnerships. At ang panghuli ko naman na i-discuss is yung long-term strategy. Para naman sa long-term strategy, hindi lang dapat Colombia ang focus, kundi yung buong Latin American market. Una, use Colombia as a gateway to Latin America. Dahil member sila ng Pacific Alliance, mas madali ang trade connections sa ibang countries. Pangalawa, expand gradually. Huwag agad sabay-sabay. Dapat step by step. Expansion para mas manageable ang risk. Pangatlo, target nearby high potential markets tulad ng Peru, Chile, at Mexico. Kasi connected ang economies nila at may similar trade agreements. Pang-apat, build a strong regional network. Habang lumalawak ang operations, dapat palakasin din ang partnerships, suppliers at distribution channels. Panglima, invest in brand presence. Mag-focus sa marketing at reputation. Building para makilala ang brand hindi lang sa Colombia kundi sa buong region. At panghuli, continuously monitor market trends. Dapat updated ang company sa changes sa economy, consumer behavior at regulations para makapag-adjust agad ng strategy.